What's up, y'all? How's it going? I have good information for y'all. We are going to be running through, we just did a drop of a product on Teleport. And yeah, it looks great. Let's see here. There we go. We just released a new file set inside of Teleport. So anyone who is a premium subscriber will be able to get a hold of it. It is over here inside of your files. If you go here into files and then you click on catalog files right here, and then you can scroll through them all. It is actually under C. So I should not scroll through them all. This should be like right there. It is in the can. There we go, can shot. So the can shot has several different variations of it here. We have the can shot 3, the can shot 3 tall. All of these have been updated to where you can get a hold of them all inside of Teleport and start selling them right off the bat. So they are one of these. Well, the guys took them all from me. Oh, wait, no, I got one. I got one. I got one. There we are. There we go. Yeah, so the can shot, one of these, I'll go ahead and move this over here, and let's go ahead and do a screen share here. And then I do that, and I do this, and I do that, and then I hit on that, and bam, there is that item right there that you can go ahead and get added in to whatever you want. And now everybody can get a hold of these things. Yeah. All these things. And then we've got the plain basic ones that are a little bit tighter and faster and all the rest of it. Good time. And that is available inside of Teleport. So you guys can get a hold of these things and start selling them if you want to. But yeah, Cruise Cup sold $300,000 worth of this product last fall and is still doing quite well. So we went ahead and made one for y'all to get a hold of, and it is available inside of Teleport. So yeah, you just go over here, you go over into files, and then catalog files, and then roll right over to down here. It's can, whatever it was, down here, can shot 3, all those things. We got a 2 tall one, all of them. So those are all available. How's it going, Rick? Mostly useful for Robotics. Yeah, so we're going through all of it. Yeah, all these files inside a catalog, people don't realize that they're often don't realize how powerful it is, but you've got a few hundred files here that you can add to your store. You can do phone charging. We got some woodworking tools, lots of cookie cutters, and then these other ones. And we're going to keep on adding stuff to them. You'll see more and more files show up over here as time goes by. But yeah, all of them are around. Let me know. Yeah, actually, a lot of folks do not realize that there are several hundred 3D models inside of Teleport that you can start selling for free. These are models designed by us, designed by other designers that are fully commercially licensed. So all you have to do is click on them and match them to one of your listings. And you can include those files inside of any of your items that you're selling on Etsy, Shopify, anywhere else. So if you just go over to Teleport and then go to files, and click on catalog files, you can match up those catalog files. And you get several hundred more. All of them are also going to continue to 2,000 files by the end of this year. So, and absolutely start selling some more stuff. What is the cost? And when do, and then I just add them to my store? Yeah, the cost is free. If you're a premium user of Teleport, you get the files right along with that for free. So yeah, all of this is automatically inside of there. You got to make sure you keep your premium subscription active. I let mine lapse there, so I'm running on the free right at the moment. But yes, after that, the files are free. Yeah, and you'll have full access to them. We are working with a number of designers who will be adding their files to this collection as well. We're also going to be working on sorting this because it's already turned into a big old list to where people have to scroll through stuff. We're working on a new search method and that kind of thing. So all of these files are easier to find. You'll be able to sort of like home goods, functional, so on and so forth. So all those are there. there any way for me to add my files to the catalog? There will be here in the nearest future. We'll allow kind of open submission, but we want to make sure catalog is up and rolling first. Okay. If you want pictures or do myself take pictures and start to sales. Christian, if you want pictures, we have actually, let me just go over to the Reddit here. If you want pictures, you can go over here to the Reddit. And then if you go here to the wiki, right here, we have this GPT. And if I just go ahead and back here inside the files, this is way better too, because it lets you actually create files that are unique to your thing. Let me go ahead, get a snipping tool here. It's a big file. Got to get it downloaded. Hold on a second. Right here. Let me use this one. I was using this one earlier. I'm unauthorized. Hold on, let me refresh the page. I was looking at him a second ago. Oh, I got signed back in. That's what it is. I left this open for a long period of time. Continue with Google. Actually, there we go. Okay, go to catalog files. Click on the thing. I'm going to grab the can shot. And then I'm going to say new. I'm going to snip this right here. Just like that. Go save. And then can shot, just like this. And then if I go over here to this GPT, I can add that photo back in, right like so. And then convert this into a 3D printed product photo. Have it on a tailgate with a can shooting out the top. Let's go ahead and see what kind of imagery that can come up with right now. Yeah, the info on this, all of this catalog and stuff, all these files are inside of teleportpod.com. So yeah, you get access to all of these files and can start adding them to your store if you're part of Teleport. Let's see how this looks. Hey, what's up, Tube 3D? How's it going, guys? Let me know if you have any questions or things that you want to see. You guys are like gonna have to watch along right here. We're gonna see if we can get this turned into that, and we'll see the result here in just a moment. The anticipation is killing me. We also are working on building up a product description GPT for people, so that will be able to send stuff out. Okay. Oh yeah, that is a little bit inaccurate. Change the can to an empty soda can. No liquid. There we go. We'll do a slight modification. That is not terrible. Like, that is pretty darn accurate to what this thing looks like. So we're trying to generate a fake photo from that STL drawing. And it used that tone. I could also change its color, but like, that is a perfectly reasonable product photo for this item right there. Okay. I have a question, not about Teleport. I do own a small side hustle, and my city is reaching out to me about 3D printing some replacement parts for street lanterns. I made them with some changes. Congratulations, Maurice. That's awesome. Or Michael Maurice. Good job. Yeah, let me know what your question is if you got one there. Oh, GPT is going to stop me. Okay. So you got to show it a picture of this. If you go to the listing on SlantPod, we announced this. Slantpod.com is the website to find all these tools. You can go here to the blog, and we talk about this. And use these as seed photos for whatever you happen to be doing. Okay, let's see here. Load it up, load it up, load it up. Sweet. So you can see some examples. There's some good demos. So this is Cruise. They did $300,000 in revenue last year. Michael's Rockstar there. And then we've got their product listings. It's an item that gets made and shipped out the door for $15, but you sell it for about 30 to 35. So it's a really high margin product that you can make a ton of money from if you're doing print on demand and that kind of stuff. And you can just add it to your store in about 15 minutes. Links to it in Teleport. Here's a way to photos of it. There was a raw one that we did. It was a screen cap from a video, and then this one's the toucan tall. The toucan tall. Yeah, but that looks great, and that looks like the matte original photo there. We literally just kind of did a cleanup of this photo and then put it into a setting, and there you go. How about selling those parts when the original manufacturer isn't producing them anymore? I don't want to get some legal trouble with the manufacturer. Michael Maurice, you need to stop being so cautious and just go do something. That's my initial reaction to it. If you are creating an original design, even if it is a spare part, you're fine. And unless you're making $1 million, no manufacturer cares what you're doing. So help out the customer and give them the spare parts that they need. But you can reach out to the manufacturer too. But right now it's looking like you're looking for excuses to not have to go do the thing. Go do the thing. Here's the thing, guys. For everybody starting a business out there, you will never be fully prepared. You will never be legally covered. You will never have everything going right. Stuff is going to go wrong all the time. You try to minimize it. But then you do not slow yourself down because of it. Because even when you have dotted all the I's and done everything correctly, someone could still sue you just out of spite. Like literally, there's nothing stopping people from going after people. We're in the United States. It's litigious. So just get rolling. And quite frankly, if you're selling $1 million worth of it, when they reach out to you and say, hey, stop doing that, you can say, hey, how about we just partner up and you guys help me sell more of these and you make money off of me too. And then you're just like, oh yeah, okay, we won't sue you. Okay, but you send me the info. Slant seems to be a lot like Send Cut Send, but for 3D printing. We're really similar to them, only way better. Because Send Cut Send can only make individual parts, whereas we make fully finished products. We've got portals, which is the marketplace, so anybody can start selling, and an item ships in under 2 days. But this idea of on-demand manufacturing isn't particularly original. There's plenty of folks doing it from different directions. And Send Cut Send is an awesome company. I would love to be up there with them. But we are just, we're doing kind of different stuff because we're more about how do we make real products distributable? And Send Cut Send is just how do we make machining fast and responsive. They're cousins for sure. But yeah. What AI tools do you find most applicable to your business? How do you minimize token use? Are you running any local models yet? I find it hard space to learn, see what others are actually doing. So Pontiac Printing Press, AI is all over the place. You use all of them. And if you are counting tokens, you're not using AI appropriately. Every AI tool that we use is so fantastically valuable. I don't care about the token count because the token costs 0.03 cents. It's irrelevant. And it's going to be half a cost right now. If you're counting a special example, Lovable. We use Lovable. Lovable and it gives you like 50 tokens. People saying, I have 3 tokens left. What should I do until my subscription renews? I say, spend another $25 and get another 200 tokens. Because the amount of time you're waiting for that to turn over is ridiculously huge. Again, it's that bias for action. Go do something. If you are being stopped because of a $5 expense or a $10 expense, you need to go drive Uber for an hour. And that is more productive because then you'll have some cash as opposed to standing there staring at it. But we use all of them. We use GPT for marketing and the creation of these types of product photos. We use Gemini for video generation, VO3. We use Claude for code. We use Lovable for full stack application web apps to kind of get rolling and knocked out and prototyped. We use Opus Clip for video editing of shorts, and the list goes on. Wherever we can, we use it. There's the Jenny AI, which helps with customer support, who is a clone of our customer support person, Jenny. She still got her job, don't worry. But she's there, but is able to help people instantly because it's just instant. And then, yeah, rolling from there. Cloud Code in the IDE. The Cloud Code, it might be a little bit pricey, but like, again, if pricey means anything under $100, it's not pricey. It's the most affordable thing you could possibly have. Slants. Thanks, Abdul Shandi. What else have we got? What other questions do people have? Where's everybody coming from? What part of the country or what countries are you in? Let's see what everybody's doing. We got snow. We got our first snow of the season last night. We got about an inch, which is weird for Idaho. It's February and we're finally getting snow. We did not have any snow through October, November, and December, and that's generally we get some snow throughout there. Germany, Michigan. Hey, what's up, Pontiac? Oh, you're Michigan. Nice. You should be making more car parts. Maurice is in Germany. Interesting. Phoenix, Florida. Michigan. A lot of Michigan. That makes sense. Michigan's a manufacturing spot. There's a lot of 3D printing over there. What's up? Lumbra. How's it going? Let's see. What else? Video coming out this week. Well, the video coming out this week is actually about the can shop. So there'll be some interesting stuff there. Pennsylvania. Nice. Where else? Baltimore. Indiana. Michigan again. We got 3 Michigans. 3 votes for Michigan. Here we go. What? Actually, I'm going to go to STL Bash. But yeah, actually, nice. Baltimore. I'm going to go back to sharing this, actually. I'm going to browse the files inside of Catalog because I have not done an audit of them lately. And I want to know. Forgive me, everybody. We got the catalog files. Yeah, we dropped about 109 cookie cutters. They were the previous Christmas cookie cutters. Charger, phone charger, baby carrier, ice cream scoop, mainly cookie cutters. Okay, we have probably about 40 more files that we will drop inside of Catalog over the next week or so. Tell you, car parts and twin fixtures for manufacturers are the longer term play. Yeah, the fixture, focus on the fixtures. This is how you do fixtures. You go to the factory and you say, can I watch you guys make a part here? Let me sign an NDA. I'm going to watch your line and I'm going to see any part that breaks or any metal fixture that is damaging pieces. And then you go design replacements and say, here you go. Here's improvements on all of that stuff. Pay me on the time you saved because I just saved you 2 seconds on each operation, which comes to about $5,000 to $10,000 per year. Pay me $4,000, and then you can have this forever. But yeah, we'll add in. Oh yeah, we've got a ton of files. We have the LTT screwdriver box. We have cups and holders and organizers. The various different organizers that we turned loose the other week, those can all be turned loose. 4 years in, need to contract it out to my LLC now. Nice. Oh, that's a really good way. If you can, contract it out to yourself. That seems like a tad. It's not it is a conflict of interest, but it's not incorrect. Okay. Yeah. What else? What are other files that y'all want to see? What are things that you're wanting to sell? The baby carrier. That push stick is for a. How's it going, Demetrius? We are in. We'll start doing more variations of stuff. So many of our videos are. We developed 3D design automation. Think lovable for functional design. Would be nice to integrate with teleport. Oh, we're open to it. Osama, if you want to do it, shoot us a message at info@slant3d.com. But if you're building a CAD tool, you probably want to use our API and just put like a buy the print now button in there. Happy to do that. If it's a software that doesn't like automatically generate different files, kind of like in bulk to have people pull from a catalog, it's not quite ready for teleport yet. We don't want file generation inside of teleport outside of really, really targeted applications, because then people get lost and frustrated. So we want to make sure the experience is really good, and a catalog can be filled with AI generated content that is vetted and good. But yeah, we'll roll from there. Does Slant 3D print in higher engineering grade filaments? We print in PCTG, carbon fiber nylon, ISA, all those types of things. But we don't touch stuff like Ultem because those just aren't worth it. And they're not large scale. So we have no interest in using a material or a process that is for fewer than 100,000 parts per year. And peak is that. It's really valuable, really high margin, but it's just not really worth it. because it doesn't have volume, and it'll never have volume because it's such a proprietary material. We are building a browser-based features. We can easily integrate to other websites. Oh, connect to our API. It's Slant3D API. Just type it. Well, you guys can't see it over here. Slant3D. If you want to, we have an AI on to where you can just go ahead, go right into the documentation, and then you go to access, and then you can paste the JSON in there, and it'll immediately get the full documentation of the API delivered. So yeah, that's perfect. What was my background before Slant? I was a robotics engineer. I'm a robotics engineer. I worked in consumer and home robotics, in industrial design and vision systems, doing a lot of the work. Like, of the companies currently doing home robots, Sunday is probably the best positioned. I'm not sure if I agree with their training method, but their industrial design is really good. They're doing that correctly. All of the humanoid robotics companies are going to get killed by the fact that it's teleoperated. They will not be able to scale. They will have to have core autonomous functions, air-gapped robot in their home, because no one wants a phone call center person with a mobile camera in their home. That is what killed us when we were doing robotics back in 2016. LLMs made a lot of it easier, but a lot of the problems they're solving right now were kind of solved before. They're better now. They're absolutely better now. But the problems with home robots is not really the technology. It has been societal. So the adoption of home robots is going to be slow because most folks $2,000 to $20,000 device even load their dishwasher. Tend to like doing their dishes, even though we all have jobs that are not really worth it outside of the Uber. But yeah, that's my background. Robotics. How about a rugged storage box? We have a rugged storage box. We will have that uploaded and added to catalog here super soon. Can I go home? Here, there. Other questions per email. Yeah, Osama. Yeah, slant3dapi.com. The documentation, everything is there, is open. You don't have to even sign up, but you got to sign up to get an API key. But yeah, it's super easy other than that. Yeah, we're going to be releasing a bunch of videos around the API. We're going to literally do a video of, like, I vibe coded 5 viral apps using our 3D printing API, that kind of stuff. What else? How many folks? Good match of folks over here. Tanis, Cashel, Eduardo, Jesper, and Neelan. How's it going, y'all? We got people from Michigan. Got people across the states here right now. Who else? Okay, good batch of folks. What does anyone need help with their business about listing or advertising or those types of things? Oh, actually, hey, hold on a second here. You asked what I did before. I literally just see this sitting on one of the shelves here inside the studio. So before, when we were starting up Slant3D, Slant3D was and the other project was a series of STEM robotics kits that had to be 3D printed because we couldn't use molding because we were lazy initially, and then we realized all the advantages of 3D printing. Of you don't have assembly, you get multiple parts all put into one part, all these big advantages. And this was one of the products that we made. So this was an Arduino robotics kit. Will it still pop open? Yeah. So this was Buddy. And Buddy was a 3D printed or programmable Arduino robot STEM kit. You'd buy him, you'd put him together, and then he'd have his little carrying box here. Oh man, I love this guy so much. He sold for $35, which means that we were mass producing him back in this is like 2015, 2016. Everybody else can kind of see up here. But Buddy, this was one of the kits. We made 10. And Littlebots was basically the excuse to build out the print farm and come to understand how 3D printing production worked. And Littlebots was this really, really great demonstration that you could have a market in mass retail. Everybody's like, 3D printing can't get scalable. And I was like, bullshit. Literally, this is a print from, this one is about 10 years old. But you can see like the print quality there. This was an early Slant box. This guy was designed to be printed at 0.3 resolution, so you can see the layer lines, but the rest of it is all fine. The print quality on these guys was fantastic because they were engineered for it. They were designed to be printed. And then we had the main support plate, which was also pointed at 0.3 and was, yeah. This is a 10-year-old print, a 10-year-old product. Littlebots doesn't exist anymore. When the supply chains got all terrible during COVID, we decided to shut the project down because I was busy with Slant 3D and everybody else was Littlebots Labs. But someday people ought to bring that. Put him back over here. Oh, also another project. I didn't realize that Mo was back here. So this is Mo. This is also a past project at my past life that came into this company. Mo is a mobile robot. Single camera vision right there that's articulated. And then can you guys see? Yeah, you guys can see. Multiple ultrasonic sensors across the front, dual wheel drive. The point of Mo was to be a robot that could actually be in your life for a full day. We were like, okay, how do we efficiently get a computer and a camera mobile? And for him, he was actually, will this work? My thing was like, I want this robot to follow me into the airport and come on the plane. And in order to come on the plane, he would need to have storage. So we put this handle on the back of him right here. So you could carry him around if he ever couldn't keep up with you. And then the rest of the time, he would just be in your life. And quite frankly, if I was not running Slant 3D right now, I'd probably go back to Mo and fill him up with ChatGPT and turn him loose on the world as a security robot or something, because that'd be so easy. Do you have any tips on selling STLs files? I have prints that are good and functional, but not profitable when shipped. Oh, that's a good category for selling STLs. STLs is about content. You have to demonstrate these items. That's what you do. Feel better of listing it for $1 than letting it sit on my drive. Yeah, you can set up a thanks profile and see if anybody wants it. But generally, if it's not worth a lot, then sometimes it's not worth the time to put into it to make it work. Given that most 3D printer manufacturing companies seem to focus on speed, temperature, and flashiness, I've been looking at building machines based on sustainable reliability. Where do I start? TD Shep. There's a few problems with that. If you recognize this problem, but then you don't know where to start in making the machine, are you going to be able to make a machine? Like that's the question. Do you have the expertise, or do you know what questions to ask in order to do it? Because if you see the problem and you're like, I want to fix this problem, but you don't have the first step in how to start fixing it, the first step is building that machine. Build a prototype of that machine. And then post that prototype on Kickstarter and see if anybody cares. And then go from there. That's how to get that done. Thoughts on TPU versus rubber? I'm thinking about switching to TPU for our drink tabs, but I don't know how well TPU rebounds. Your thoughts? TPU is fine. Drink Sketty. Yeah, TPU is totally fine. TPU is rubber. TPU is called thermoplastic urethane, and a urethane is what a rubber is. TPU is a rubber that melts at a certain temperature and can be processed. So yeah, TPU is great. There are different hardnesses of TPU. So depending on what you want to do, you want to find a TPU with a hardness that matches your existing rubber. And that's called the durometer. Would you recommend accepting every request for custom parts, or is it better to concentrate on something like automotive and home accessories or something like this? Not home accessories. Home accessories, you'll lose your shirt. I wouldn't do custom stuff. All if I was you, I would find a product to sell. Custom stuff is such a dead end and such a miserable job. But automotive is a good spot because somebody will actually pay you a nickel for it. or maybe even $1. Home goods, nobody will pay you for it at all. And it's not worth it. So like home goods, like guys, here's a really good one. 3D print pricecalculator.com. This is calculator.com is a tool that anyone can get a hold of. And it's basically a business modeling tool. If you're doing custom parts, okay, let's say you can design 10 parts a day for a month. So you make 300 parts per month. Material cost is whatever it was. Post-processing is whatever it happens to be. Fine, dandy, whatever. But you have to pay yourself your real money. And if you're doing 3 parts a day, let's say you're doing this full time. So monthly projected hours is 40 times 4. So 1,160, sorry. And if you're doing CAD work, you are a minimum of $15 per hour, which means that you probably, and if you're good at it, you should probably be billing $100 per hour. To be cost $89 if you're selling 300 parts per month and paying yourself. Wait a second. Oh, okay, that's messing on just the per part basis. Monthly parts sold. Yeah, okay. And you cannot sell a home good for $90 a piece unless you do a lamp. So that's my thoughts on that. I'm currently working on listening to the future without molding. Oh, CS Shell, where are you coming from? Are you in Michigan too? Yep. Printing is definitely going to replace molding across the board. Like, people don't really realize this, but 3D printing is definitely going to replace molding across the board. Here's why. 3D printing can make any part on demand as quickly as molding. So our print farm can produce somewhere between 3,000 and 15,000 parts per day, depending on the size of the part, like somewhere between this big and the size of a fist or the size of a bread box. But if that is as fast as a mold would produce 15,000 parts in a day. But then tomorrow it can make something totally different without a big old changeover. Additionally, it's the same cost as molding because you don't have the cost up front for the mold. Everybody's like, oh, 3D printing can't scale. And 3D printing is cheaper than molding up to 100,000 units. If you're making more than 100,000 pieces, you are so focused that you should optimize towards a specific mold for it. But here's the little secret. 80 to 90% of parts never reach 100,000 units. Toyota considers 25,000 units to be mass production, which means that's as long as a mold needs to last, which means that now the mold itself is a significant cost, which means 3D printing will replace it. Ultimately, if you just look at it at a baseline level, the mold has electricity, plastic, and then this mold hanging off there. Printing has only electricity and plastic. So it is just an engineering problem to continue to improve printing to where it will replace molding, because it's an obviously better way of doing it because it doesn't have all this extra stuff. Additionally, printing doesn't have warehousing because you can make it on demand. You don't have shipping as much because printing is fairly well distributed right now. And giant print farms like ours are in the United States, so you can get 10,000 parts per day delivered to you. It's fine. Printing will end up definitely replacing molding. Yeah, printing is definitely going to replace molding. Self-use, not production. I was definitely meant as a self-leaning path question. Oh, TD shape. If you're making it for yourself, go make it for yourself. Buy a board and some firmware and go crazy. I'm not trying to start a fight, but I'm running a press that can make 12,800 putty knives in 8 hours and can, how can printing compete with that? We'd make 15,000 of those in an 8-hour shift too. Like it's the same thing. But the thing is, the mold that is making your CS shell also, well, I don't know if it's a putty knife. It might be pretty easy. Oh, is it like the handle for the putty knife? Oh, if it's a plastic putty knife, you probably have a multi-cavity mold. So you're knocking out 5 of them at a time and that kind of thing, which is great. And that is one of those items that probably sells more than 100,000 per year. It's effectively a disposable, consumable item. And yeah, printing isn't going to make solo cups, and printing isn't going to make putty knives, that kind of thing. But items like this and items like this shouldn't be molded and won't be molded because you're not going to sell 10 million of these per year, very likely. But even if you do, printing can match that. The scale problem with printing has been gone for a long time. So like our print farm right here holds 3,000 machines. And those 3,000 machines can probably knock out, no, they can definitely knock out 3 cycles. Yeah, it'd take like 2 hours to print a putty knife or something like that on an individual machine. So yeah, they're probably making somewhere between 15 and 20,000 putty knives per day inside of our factory if we pointed it in that direction. So that scale is there. Are you going to print spools for the filament? No, because molding is better for making spools too. You can have the exact same spool across many different categories and make thousands of those spools, whereas printing shouldn't do that because printing needs higher flexibility. Like the value of printing, guys, is like you create this product, you sell 2,000 of it, and then somebody says, I actually want one that's a different hoodie style. You design that and you sell 10,000 of that. And then cumulatively, you produce 1 million of these per year. But you're able to address individual niches. Molding is not flexible enough to address individual niches. So you are able to build products that convert easier for lower cost. I'm talking about marketing. The marketing is lower cost because it's what the customer wants. The customer buys easier, so marketing is lower cost. And you can create variations and fixes and updates to where people have a reason to come back and eventually. What am I supposed to do once I bring a customer to my website? How do I get value out of it? Ask them to sign up, or you give them value. And give you something valuable. You have to give them something valuable. Very simple example of this is we sometimes on our sites, we used to do 3D models where you could download the model, but you had to put in your email address and sign up for the newsletter. We kind of stopped doing that. Well, we still do it. They're called lead magnets, but you can build lead magnets in all kinds of ways. What's up, Valeria Mama? Yeah, you can definitely react to markets better with 3D printing. What's up, DJ James? How's it going, Moody? I don't mind saying the light here makes me look as old and haggard. I look like a guy who's on death row about to die. Big old bags under my eyes, a little bit dopey looking. Hold on. All right, what's up? Young and fresh again. How's it going? Vishnu? What else? What other questions can I answer for everybody? What reasons do you see for geographically located print farms? That is why we a new location. Print farms, people miss often. People think print farms are a manufacturing technology. They are a bigger distribution technology. The reason for setting up a local print farm is so that a designer in one country can create a product, but then it is made in the country where it's ordered. So Slant 3D will be opening up more and international print farms because when you're closer to the point of consumption, your shipping costs decrease. So we're on West Coast of the United States. If we were on the East Coast, we could save $1 on every package shipped, and the customer would get the item faster. So that's a reason to put a print farm over there. The same reason you would put a warehouse over there. And then if we put a print farm, go across the ocean and put it in the EU, now you no longer have international shipping cost. You no longer have tariffs. All of that stuff is useful and valuable. So how would you do marketing for a small business? You make 10 videos like this every single day saying, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. And then you try to make them funny and watchable. If you're making content, you want to make content that is useful to people, which means that you need to be entertaining or you need to be educational, which means you give away a lot of your secrets. Literally, what I'm doing right now, I just told everybody how to market your business. You're going to set up a TikTok account and you're going to make 5 videos a day explaining what you do as if you were teaching a kid how to do it. And then from that, people will watch you and then people will know that you do whatever you do and will think of you when they think of you. Marketing is a very long game to where you're going to do it for a long time. And then 6 to 12 months down the road, you will see the benefits from it. What are the biggest challenges for your business? There are not enough people who operate good 3D printing businesses. Here's the thing, it's very difficult to start a business. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. But if you are now starting a business that is a physical product, you have a higher chance of failure. We created Slant 3D to make that chance lower because now that you don't have to buy molds or buy a print farm or anything else, you can just focus on the product and make 10 variations of it until they finally sell. That's great. But the problem is doing that is a lot of work, and it's more work than I could go get a job and sell hot dogs and I get paid every day. Starting a business is really difficult. So our challenge is getting more qualified users of things like teleport and that kind of stuff who legitimately grow and are legitimately aggressive enough to grow their businesses. And that's not super common inside of 3D printing, not as common as we thought it was going to be. I think the world's changing a bit about that, but at the same time, we have to work in other ways and kind of move up market to continue to bring in customers that will pay our bills and hit our growth targets. Because we expect to have to build 1.5 million 3D printers over the next 10 years. And some of the stuff that we're doing right now won't do that for us. So we got to go find other things. So it's a limitation of growth is the main challenge that I fight with every day in our business. It's kind of a sales problem. We have been too product focused for the last couple of years, but sales is more important right now. Are you married? Do you have kids? How do you balance work life? So there's an initial reaction that I have to this. The work-life balance thing, I always think is silly. If you are an employee, if you work at a company, you're working 40 hours per week in general. 40 waking hours per week. You have 72 other waking hours in a week. 12 hours a day, twice on the weekend, and then 8 hours every morning and night before work each day. So there's 72 hours for you, and then 40 hours of work, and you're still sleeping 8 hours a night. So all of society, all of United States modern society already does not have work-life balance. We don't have work-life balance. Life is winning. We're lazy. We don't work. Half of your time is not work, and half of your time, life gets almost 2/3 of your waking hours. Work gets 1/3. That's not work-life balance. So that's my initial reaction to that. I come from a ranching home to where since I was 7 years old, we would wake up at 7 and work until 5 every day or until the job was done, which means that you had like 4 hours of non-work related time per day. So that's initial reaction to that. I can justify that for someone who has a family because then you get 8 hours of your own time and 8 hours of family time and 8 hours of work time in a day. So yeah, me personally, no, I am not married. Which one is it? I don't even know. I'm not married, but I am not married. I have never worked in the last 10 years. I don't think I've ever worked a week that was fewer than 70 hours ever. Maybe I had a 50-hour week one time in a moment of weakness where I was just literally leaving for Christmas or something like that. But I admit that I am completely and totally a workaholic. I'm not saying that's good. Like there's dysfunctions within that you deal with, and it's part of my life, is what it is. But the way I manage not burning out is that you just understand yourself. You recognize where your limits are, what your vices and your problems are, and you reduce those and limit those and pace yourself. So like I'm fairly stringent about like what I eat, kind of how I sleep, what work I do and do not do at certain times, keeping a calendar. You keep order, otherwise so much stuff goes off the rails that you'll lose your mind. So in order for me to maintain harmony in my life, I just recognize that I'm not going to put a train back on the rails if it goes off. And then you just wake up and you work out a little bit more and chip away. And that makes it useful to you. Though, all of that being said, I also recognize inside of the business that probably about 70% up to 85% of the work that I do does not matter. because when you're running a business, there's a very few decisions that have really high impact. And then the rest of the time, you're just paying taxes and paying bills and listening to people and tracking stuff down and just kind of operating around, just like making sure the minutia gets done. So there's the busy work that is just part of it that doesn't really grow the business. And then there's those few small decisions that don't require a lot of time that make it really valuable. So like for me, it's like, okay, we're going to go build teleport. That was a fairly quick decision. And then we fought at it for 2 years, grinding away at stupid little things until it worked. So if you're a really good decision maker, and I don't know how you define that, then you can work for 2 hours a day and be a perfectly effective CEO. Jeff Bezos talked about that. He's like, my job is to make 2 to 3 high quality decisions today. So I sleep 10 hours a night. I sleep 8 hours. I spend time with my kids. I go in the office at 10 a.m. and then I read in the morning, get fully caught up to data. And at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, I make a couple of those decisions and then I'm done. And that was what I was supposed to do that day because I'm making a decision that's going to spend $10 billion. So yeah. Bro, I have 2 adults living with me that do nothing all day, every day, and have no idea what their life is. No better. It is no better than it is. Why their life is no better than it is. Yeah, there you go. What are you in college? Love the work ethic. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. I use my children to unload build plates and assemble products. How do I scale the workforce? Have more kids? No, you price appropriately so you can hire people. That's literally what this is for. If this is what small businesses do incorrectly all the time, they don't pay themselves and they don't pay employees. For you to have a viable business, you need to be able to pay yourself full time and pay an employee full time. If your current pricing or current product category and that kind of stuff do not allow that, you have to raise your prices or you need to shut down the business because you don't have a business. If you cannot pay yourself and an employee, then you have what is definitely an unscalable business. So you have to change something inside of there so it actually works. If you're at the stage where I make it for $2 a PLA and I sell it for $3 and I don't know why I don't make money because Etsy takes so many fees, you're in the hobby stage to where you're doing it for fun and you're going to lose money on it because you're not valuing your own time, but you're also not valuing the time of someone else. Because you can have a small business that you operate, a lifestyle business where you pay yourself only and you do this job, you're self-employed forever, or you can start a company. To start a company, you have to pay an employee and pay yourself, and then have enough left over to continue to grow the company, which is what no one ever realizes. But yeah, if you're taking shortcuts or not paying yourself, or you have the kids helping you or something like that, you need to start paying them or start budgeting as if you're paying them at least, so that the business is actually sustainable. How do you maintain your momentum? Are you an obsessive person naturally, or are you constantly fighting to keep yourself disciplined? Oh, you constantly fight to keep yourself disciplined. It is so like, guys, I wake up every morning and like there's a giant red button in front of me that says, quit and go earn more money doing a different job. I am fairly employable. I on my resume, I get to say built one of the world's largest print farms, so on and so forth. So I can go get a job, pay me somewhere between 100 and 250 per year. Like that is where I could wander down to San Francisco and join a robotics startup and design robots. And that's very interesting to me. I could go down to Texas and weld together Starship, and that would be fun and cool too. So there are all these really good things that I could do that are less miserable than what I do now. Because like entire swaths of the job of starting a company are horrible. The reason I don't is because I'm not sure that a print farm like this would be built if I didn't. We are the last print service standing doing this kind of stuff. To like plug into to where a kid in Africa can upload a model and instantly be selling something. That doesn't exist. There are no other options other than us that are that easy, low effort, and reliable. And then still have the part ship out 2 days later. Everyone who's tried it has been too long, too expensive, too crappy, all this stuff. So I do that because that needs to exist so that more really great products can be created in the world. In order to maintain momentum, that is a constant battle. I'm thinking of momentum more in like the company. We just came out of the Christmas season, which means that there was Christmas, which was a few days off, and then it's January and everybody's burnt out from the year. So there's vacations and stuff. So moving again to where there's real gains all the time, as opposed to people show up and like clock in, is a thing that we've been fighting with. And maintaining that momentum in what the North Star is. What is it that we need to do? Know what action you need to take. Generally, apathy and slowness and indifference happens when you don't know what you should be doing. So you have to be really clear about what is the goal right now? What is the most important thing right now? And then you know if you hit it or not. And if you haven't hit it and the clock is ticking, you start to build momentum really fast. For Amazon, the worst thing was when you received a Jeff B email. Really, David? I want to talk to you about that. What when he sent out an email, like what was the context? Was it like a mass company email, like, hey folks, we all got to do this, or was it like specifically addressed to you, and you were like, oh no, Jeff needs me to do it? Was it like an intimidation factor, or was he going to completely blow up some project you were doing, or like that kind of stuff? Because I know inside of my company, everybody has kind of a funny joke of like, I got an email from Gabe. I write very brief emails. Generally, my line is I try to get the message into the subject line if I possibly can. And then the body of it, if there is any, have additional explanation. But, and people will get these emails from me at 2 a.m. in the morning. And they're just like, I heard the beep on my phone. I was like, no, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow. I was like, customer issues. And you dropped everything to address it. Oh, sick. Nice. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. People don't realize this, that like, I don't like working with customers. Like my natural state is I don't like to work with customers. Customers never know how to do it right. And my thing is so brilliant. Why can't they do it right? But over the last few years, my customer centrism has completely shifted. And if somebody walks up to me and asks me a question, like, what is best for the customer? If somebody says, send a replacement, and I'm like, what's best for the customer? Do that. It costs a lot. I'm like, don't care. The getting customers is so difficult. Keeping customers is hard, but more important than getting new ones. Like, admittedly, guys, part of this is the reason that I do this. Like this live stream that I've been doing for an hour. This is so anybody who has any questions about teleport or anything else can immediately get to me and say, Gabe, there's a bug. Gabe, how do I do this? Gabe, whatever. And there's no bureaucracy in between. Because if somebody says teleport button doesn't work, guess what? I got my email right here. I'll bet that button will be working before close of business today. Like that's literally what that enables. And is the reason I do this, just to make sure that we're actually getting something useful done for everybody. But yeah, customer centrism is so important. So many people who start up businesses started up to build something cool or to get rich, but you're not. You're solving a problem for a customer. And if the customer has any issue with your product at all, you need to immediately fix that. Because if you lose that customer, you are every single interaction, you are taking the risk of losing the customer. And if you lose them, they basically never come back. It's like telling a lie to someone. If you lie to someone, you are a liar to that person forever. But if you tell the truth to them, that's just par for the course. If you tell the truth continuously, but then also overperform on that truth over time, then the person trusts you with more and more and more. But that takes a long time to build, which is why it's so important to never piss off a customer. Always try to over deliver for the customer and never lose that customer. And even if you have 1,000 customers or 1,000,000 customers, like when we started out, when we made a mistake launching Teleport and how we had architected it to where we would ship out parts that were out of spec, low quality. We were like, this isn't printable, but we want to send you the part so that you can see what went wrong. And we thought that was okay because we had instant refund inside of Teleport. If anybody got a bad part, you can just push the button and you immediately get a refund and you don't have questions asked. This was something I was really excited about because no one has ever had 0 questions asked refunds. Like you just click the button, you get a refund. Done. That's better than Amazon. But we would ship out parts so that people could see the result of the print so that they could ideally learn and modify the part. And we would have a design note inside of there. And we're like, go ahead and get a refund. But that was a disconnect. So it was a bad customer experience because the customer saw that we delivered a bad part. And it didn't matter that they got it for free. It didn't matter that we explained to them how it happened and how they could fix it. It just mattered that we delivered a bad part. So we ended up changing our flow to where, like, if we can't print it well, we cancel the order. Because at least then the customer doesn't have a bad experience. The customer has a neutral experience of like, oh, they rejected it. Must have been something up. So our interaction with customers have changed over time to where we keep on doing these large things like instant refund to make sure that customers are always protected and feel safe with whatever they do. But also continuously just reevaluate how we interact with it to make sure that bad situations can't happen, because maintaining the customer is so important. And if one person whines about you online, 100 people, 1,000 other people see that too. So one unhappy customer, you do not want. You want everybody to be excited about it, because then it's a positive voice in the opposite direction. So yeah, businesses do not value customers enough. 2 months of my online store and 0 sales. Is social media really as much of a game changer as you say to jumpstart this? TD Shep, are you doing any advertising at all? If you're not doing any advertising at all, then that's why you have no sales. Part of running a business is you got to advertise. Social media is the lowest cost way of doing it because you get to trade your time for dollars. You can make 10 TikToks or 100 TikToks or 1,000 TikToks, and one of them might go viral and create all the sales you need for a year. And they might not, but at least you took the stab at them. If you're out there sitting waiting and you have a shingle out and you're waiting for somebody to walk by, that's not going to happen. There's 8 billion people on the planet, all who have online connections and can sell something. Why are you different, and why should somebody come look at your stuff? So you got to do some marketing. If you're on Etsy, turn on ads. Spend $25 on ads. Go. Oklahoma. Behind live. Okay, so you have been running ads. Are you on Etsy running ads? The refunding strategy is cheaper than the labor time cost to discuss the issue. At Amazon, regarding the value of a lot of products, that would be a loss for the company. No, Loomber74, even at Amazon, it still works. Amazon had effectively a 0 questions asked return policy for a long time, and now they're optimizing that. But the reason we get away with it is because, you want to create some friction on returns so that people don't overly abuse it, because people get used to buying clothes, trying them on, and then shipping them back. But for us, the value we have is that we never have inventory. So when you're running a retail business, you have about 15% of your inventory is shrink, which means that it never gets sold. 15 to 25%, depending on what it is. Since we never have inventory, we don't have that 15 to 25% waste, which means we can use that savings and put it into a returns policy that is more generous, and end up still doing better than traditional methods. Okay, T-Shep, 244 visits from 414 views. You need to check your click-through rate. If your click-through rate is below 1%, you have bad photos. If you have no sales from 244 listings, that's weird. You should have about a 1% 1 to 3% conversion rate. So your product may not be good enough, or your descriptions are scaring people somehow. So improve your photos, make sure your product listings are sound. If both those things are true, legitimately true, then you have a garbage product that no one wants. Or you need to find retarget it towards a different group of people. That's the long and short of it. Amazon topic. Returns are a huge expense. Yes. It's part of business. Returns are generally somewhere between 5 and 15%, depending on what retail sector you're in. You got to bake that into the model. Oh, by the way, we need to do returns. Ooh, yeah. I got to add returns to the print price calculator. So actually, I'm curious about this. Average rate of e-commerce returns. Average return rate on Etsy. A good, no. How often do customers return items? Okay, so Etsy generally has a 1.2% return rate. Broader e-commerce has an average of 15 to 30% as a return rate, but that's, I think, skewed by clothes. Amazon has a 3%. eBay has a 2.3% because they're a little bit more custom. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. I'm surprised that Amazon only has a 3% return rate. 1 out of 30 items returned. That's not bad. Like, I thought that would be way worse. I have several designs in the works. Is it invite only to post some designs to others to use through royalties through your site? Casey, we're going to turn that loose. Email us at info@slant3d.com and say, I want to be a designer. And we'll get you on the list. We'll also announce when that's open and available for designers to start submitting here in the nearest future. What do you use as a payment processors? Have you thought about accepting USD stable coins? We're not going to touch stable coins for a minute. Yeah, not for bit. It hasn't settled yet. I mean, I like the idea of stable coins personally, but operationally, I don't know where it all lands. What else? Probably going to wrap it up here, guys. That's been the hour. What software do you use for designing? You can use Fusion or Shaper, whatever works for your particular application. If you're doing organic, Blender is good. Those are good options. Sometimes if an item is low price, they don't have it returned. It's refunded without return. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay. $160 clicks on 5.0. Okay. Oh. If you have 160 clicks, what is the product TD shape? If you're only having 160 clicks, you might want to replace it or make sure that the AI photo doesn't look AIE. Ooh, yeah. That's a 3% click-through rate. Yeah, that's a 3% click-through rate, which isn't, well, no, you want about a 10% click-through rate. I think you want about a 10% click-through rate. The most popular one is a lantern log. Oh. Yeah, that might be an expectations and a realities thing to where people see the image, but then they see it as AIE, and I don't know what the cost of it is. And I don't, yeah, you have a click-through rate that's too small. So people are either not interested in it or don't like the photo. A lantern log is a very specific type of product. If you're running on Etsy, you don't get to see who sees it, but that's also a lantern log is really niche, even within a niche. So there just might not be very many people who are interested in it. So the thing you can do, how much have you spent on ads right now so far? Here's a better question. What does the lantern log cost? What do you charge? And then how much have you spent in ads so far? A rule of thumb that I use that's not universal, but it's a rule of thumb. A rule of thumb that I use is whatever the cost of the product is, you should be able to spend the cost of the product on the first sale. So if you're selling it for $100, you need to spend $100 in ads before you know if that product is sellable or not. And then you optimize from there. If you sell it for $10, you need to spend $10 getting the first sale on it, and so on. And if that doesn't work, then your product won't work. I'm from Australia and want to sell products through teleport through your website. Sweet, Big 3D. What do you got going on? Go to slantpod.com. That's where we got it. How can I help? Oh, yeah, I'll put the link down here. Here we go. Slantpod.com. Oh, wow. I hate Instagram so much for typing that way. Yeah, if you're in Australia, if you're running a 3D printing business inside of Australia, teleport can be a huge unlock for you, because you can double your market almost overnight by having access to the United States without international shipping or tariffs. You are able to just plug teleport straight into your store, and then whenever you get a sale from a US customer, that item will be printed and shipped inside the United States for you, so you don't have to ship it across an ocean. This will get you more sales because you can ship faster for cheaper to people in the United States. Also, when you're using teleport, you get access to a whole catalog of new files. So there's a potential that you can just increase your number of listings also, so that you can sell a lot more. Yeah, Bake 3D. I don't, I get baked now. Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with that, so long as you're not selling the stuff itself, selling the herb itself. Okay, yeah. How did funds get transferred back to international sellers? That is, prints and sells in the United States, but the person is in Germany. You input your bank information and you get paid. If you're using teleport to print items for your Etsy, you pay us. So you put in a credit card or something like that, and you pay us to print and ship the item, and then you keep the difference. So you sell it on Etsy for $10, you pay us $3 to make the thing, and you keep $7. So that's how that works. If you're selling on portals, then we pay you via PayPal. Alrighty, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks so much for being around. We try to do these things daily. We were trying to schedule them around noon, but I'm experimenting with different times. So I do not know when we will be live tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, see y'all later. We'll end that one and this one.